have, or whatever it takes, by any means necessary. Failure is not an option, kind of grind.
Thank you so much, Williams Kathy, for being here today. This is such an honor and a privilege to be able to interview you and get the wealth of knowledge that you have about your experience. So, first and foremost, thank you for your time. We're just going to dive right into these questions here and then just
Okay.
pour the wealth of knowledge that you have and share with our young people and just your experience and your journey and everything. And I think it's a, just being able to share your experiences like a being would be great for us. So, if you could tell me first off, when you were contraband of war and the Union Army used your labor but still returned you to your master, what did freedom look like for you? Was it a word, a promise, or a place you felt like you could never quite reach?
Okay. Once the Union Army came and took us, they sent us back to the state. They did not return us to the master because
Mm,
the master that owned me, he was dead. He died before the Civil War started. And as when they took me as contraband, when I got to New Orleans in the middle of the war, I grew my dress. So they gave me a pair of breeches. That was my first time of feeling free because we had to wear these big dresses that fan the ground. And you know how dangerous it is when you washing clothes because it's over a fire. My friends, a lot of my friends got burned because their dresses caught on fire.
mm,
So now I'm wearing breeches. That
mm,
is my first taste of freedom. I
mm.
would never, ever, ever, never, ever wear a dress again.
Huh.
And that was at the ripe old age of 11.
At 11 years old.
Yes, yes.
And from that moment on, you decided never to wear dresses.
Never, ever, never, never, ever, ever, ever wear a dress again.
Wow. That is amazing. That's very interesting. Okay. Governor Douglas once said, give the colored man a uniform and a musket. You make him a citizen, you make him a man.
Yeah.
But no one imagined a woman would want the same proof. Did that sting for you? Did you want to show that the world that freedom and manhood were not the same thing, at least not for you?
Well, first of all, I'm just now beginning to be free because at the end of the Civil War, they sent us back. There was no jobs for ex-slaves. I did not want to be married and be a burden. And I had tasted freedom. And during the Civil War, I learned how to march. I learned how to shoot. So there was no way that I was going to, because I was a house girl. From the ripe old age of 4 years old, I was a house girl. So, and see, you have to understand that during that period of time, women, black people, men and women, we did not think of races. This was a man's job, a woman's job, because we had to do everything.
Mm,
See, so by and Frederick Douglass and W. E. Du Bois, they were chauvinists. They didn't do anything for women. They would not further us. The W. E. Du Bois refused to help Madam C.J. Walker. So I don't like him either. Okay.
mm,
Those men they were for black men freedom. They really didn't think about the women because they were just like white men. The white men were supposed to be subservient to them.
mm.
Hmm.
So tell me what it was like to be a house girl growing up.
Think about it. I'm 4 years old. I'm tending to the master's baby. I have to go get the bottle. I have to go take care of the baby. I don't realize that this is what I'm doing. And as I'm growing, I'm learning how to be a house girl. And I also learned how to read. They didn't know I knew how to read. Many slaves knew how to read, but they hid it because they would get beat or they would kill us.
Mm,
Many slaves knew how to read, but they would pretend. I play possum that I know how to read and write. See, that way I learned secrets and I learned if they were going to try to sell me or some of my friends. And I learned that before.
hmm. So being able to have these secrets, there's
Hmm.
some power and
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how were you able to do that? Because these are secret, this is an early age for this is foreshadowing for the future secrets that you're going to have as an adult. So how were you able to do that? How did you be able to keep it a secret, but still maneuver your way, knowing that you're reading and what that meant to the power that you had being able to read?
Well, my mother's name was Martha, and she had several kids, and she was the house lady too. And my mother and other ladies in the house, they taught us how to read, and they taught us how to see. Slaves had to learn how to please placate the master to keep from getting beat. They played dumb, they played this and that, but that was the way they survived. My
Mm,
natural grandmother, Fanny Johnson, was born in 1861 in Victoria, Texas.
hmm.
She was born, you hear what I said, my grandmother, my mother's mother was born in 1861 in Victoria, Texas. So a lot of things I know, I learned from her, and that's what they did. They taught each other. See, black people, slaves, because they didn't use the term black, okay? Slaves, Negroes, they helped each other. They had, besides the Underground Railroad, on every plantation, they had a system. Everybody took care of everybody because you didn't have no family. If you had a child, they were going to sell it.
Mm.
And see, I was lucky that I knew my mother. I knew my father. My father was a free man. And by my mother being a slave, that made me be a slave because, in Virginia, when they stopped the transatlantic slave trade, they made this law say when a black woman have a baby, her and her baby is a slave. So they began, that's when they start breeding us like cattle
Mm.
to continue slave trade.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So when were you
Mm-hmm.
considered to start breeding? And when were you considered to be a woman in their eyes?
The minute a girl started bleeding, they would breed her. The
Mm.
minute that could be 8 years old or older, the minute she started bleeding, they start breeding her. And especially, I now think about it. At the age when I enlisted, I was 5'9". So at the age of 4, 5, and 6, I was almost 4 foot tall at 4 years old. Think so. I'm
Mm.
big. So I'm big. So the bigger the woman, the more they tried to breed her.
Wow.
And see, and so I saw firsthand how my mother was bred. So I made up my mind that I wasn't going to be like that.
Hmm.
Even before I was captured, I I had dreams about running away. Me and my friends, me and the guys that I grew up with, we were going to run away.
And at what age did you come to that realization?
9.
At 9. And these
Before
were guy
mhm.
friends.
Yes, guy friends. I had girlfriends and guy friends. We all helped each other.
Yeah, so it seems like at a young age, you really had your
Yeah,
wits with you. You knew a
yeah,
sense of direction, you had your purpose, you knew what you wanted. So, knowing that there was a different treatment between boys
yeah.
and girls at an early age and how they're being treated, how did that make you feel? Knowing that you're born a woman, right? And you see the different treatment happening with boys and with men and with women. How was that making you feel even at a young age and as an adult?
But that made me, but see, I'm kind of stubborn. That made me feel like they can do it. I'm gonna do it. Whatever they do, I can do it. See, because remember, they didn't divide the work back then. Everybody, if you worked in the field, you worked in the field. If you worked in the house, you worked in the house. Because they had men that worked in the house too. So the ladies in the house and the men in the house did the same work. But I had decided that I wasn't going to have any kids and that I wasn't going to get married, but I did. But at the young, but I'm a teenager. I'm a teenager. I'm an adolescent first. So being an adolescent, your mind is you racing. You just beginning to learn life. And then when Colonel Benton came and took us from 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 Missouri down to to New Orleans, that I got on the ship on a steamboat in Little Rock, Arkansas. We went down the Mississippi. We attacked a cotton boat because the South was smuggling goods out through Mississippi to Europe to feed their war. So we attacked it, and it scared me. First of
Mm.
all, I had never, how can you imagine? I'd never seen the Mississippi. It is so much water. And this boat is the biggest thing. It goes round and round, and all this steam come out of it. Man, my eyes were like this. Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. But
Mm.
then when we attacked that boat, my mind, because I saw some black people on that boat. Oh my God, they died. That was my first time seeing death.
Mm.
I had never seen anybody die before then. And then my mind, because they went in the water, that's a horrible death.
And at what age was that happening?
89 years old
At eight,
or
at
9.
9 years old.
Mm-hmm. I was born in September in 1840. Sometime they didn't exactly put down the date that you were born. They just put down Martha had this kid, this kid, and this kid. Didn't say when they were born because they didn't want us to know anything like that. You remember? You know your age, you know your worth. They didn't
Mm.
let you know stuff like that.
I know we talked a little bit about, or you mentioned Harriet Tubman and Underground Railroad. So
Mm-hmm.
she worked as a scout and a spy, and sometimes disguised herself as a man.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So her courageous act to do so, is that was that a reason or how you decided to get into that as well, to put your disguise on as well
No, I had see.
on your own volition?
Remember. We're in section. We're in Missouri, and Harriet Tubman is in Virginia, North Carolina, and she's in the Southeast. I don't know about her. They did not let us communicate. All I knew at the end of the Civil War, I knew that I wasn't going to go back to being a slave or trying to do slave work. I knew that I could march and I could shoot. So I made up my mind that I'm going to join the army. And I know I had to disguise myself as a man because before 1947, women were not allowed to join the military. White women, Mexican women, every woman that went in the military, snuck in the military, had to disguise themselves as a man. From the American Revolution, every war we've had, women have snuck in the military.
Mm.
I'm not the first lady, the black lady, to do this either.
Hmm.
I'm not. I am the only one that kept this document. I tried to get my disability. No other lady did that. That's why I'm known as the only documented female Buffalo soldier. I'm
Mm.
not the first. In Texas, there were over 400 women that snuck in on me. In Texas.
Wow.
Now think about the other 48 states. They're women.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is mind-boggling.
Yes, yes.
So,
So my decision to do this is because I didn't want to be a burden. I wasn't going to get married. I get married to somebody. He ain't making no money. I ain't making no money, and that would be back like being a slave. And then the sharecropping was just it was still sharecropping was still slavery.
hmm hmm
Okay, so I wasn't going to do that. My cousins, guys that I grew up with, they joined the U.S. colored troops. They were already in the army. So when they sent us back, they sent us girls back because the boys were they're part of U.S. colored troops. Okay, at the end of the Civil War, they disbanded U.S. colored troops and they made Buffalo soldiers. Okay, so to join the Buffalo soldiers, you had to have at least 1 year as a soldier, or get recommended by a congressman or a prominent a white man.
mm.
Okay, so my cousins, they were already there. They were already in the barracks. I snuck around the barracks. I sit around the barracks. I sit around the recruiting office. Now, my grandma taught me, if you go someplace and you be quiet and you be still, because you can become, you're black, okay, but you're not making a scene. Nobody sees you. They just walk past you. I wanted to know what was being said in the recruiting office. So I sit there for days and I watched what happened. Then
Mm.
I snuck into the barracks and I told my cousin that I wanted to join the army. My cousin, and it was at least 10 guys. Okay. I told them that I wanted to join the army. And they laughed at me. So you know us ladies, we get what we want. I won that argument. I said, well, that's okay. I'll go join Company B.
Mm.
Okay. So they helped me. Now think about what I'm doing. If they catch us, if they catch me, huh, they would beat me definitely. So all night long, I prayed. When you pray, God gives you an answer.
Amen.
So I went to the recruiting office. They blow this bugle. Blow the bugle, tell you come to eat when you go. So I knew at 11 o'clock they were gonna blow this bugle, and this recruiter, gonna go eat lunch. So I waited till about 5 minutes before. I didn't get to the front of the line. I didn't get to the back of the line. I got in the middle of the line. So I'm in there,
Blending in.
blending in. And let me find my slide chat.
Yeah. So, okay. So now you're in line, right? You're in the middle
Yes,
of the line.
yes.
Now you're dealing, or at this point, you have the recruiter. And
I'm at the recruiting. I'm in line.
uh-huh.
You gotta line up to go in. As you're
Yep.
going in, you gotta line up to go in. So you're all in there. You're all in there.
Yep.
I'm in civilian clothes. I got on this big overcoat. I got on
Yep.
this big floppy hat. Big floppy hat.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk in. He said, "What's your name?" I
Yep.
had my
That's
hair
going.
down.
Yep.
I had my hair down. We in Cathay, sir. We're in Cathay, sir. How old are you? I'm 24. What's your occupation? Cook. See, I signed this paper. We're in Cathay. 24 years old, cook. That was the first step. Now I got to get past a recruiter. How am I going to do that? So me and my cousins, all night long, we told, what am I going to do? I prayed again. Same thing. I didn't get to the front of the line, I didn't get the back. I got in the middle. So, according to Army regulations, all I have to have 10 fingers, 10 toes, and the doctor ran his finger up my back. That's all he did. He
No
told me,
other
leave.
checks. There weren't
No
any
other,
other.
no other
Just,
checks. No other checks. You saw that when I had that coat on. Could you see my breast? I wear a 38B. You hear me?
mm,
I wear a 38B. You didn't see them, did you?
mm-mm.
Because that's the way the clothes were. Remember, those clothes were made to fight in. They're not fashion clothes.
Exactly.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had on a shirt, had on vest, and I had on a coat. Okay. So he ran his finger up my back to see if I had scoliosis, crooked spine. That
Oh,
was it.
that was
I
it.
God damn how many on me now. Okay. I done flew. I got the recruiter and the doctor. Now I got to get sworn in. Captain Merriman, he swore us in. He came out on the porch. He made us stand at attention for an hour in the hot sun. He said, raise your right hand. You swear to defend the Constitution of the United States? We all say yes. Well, I'm in the Army now.
Wow.
I got these eagles on my chest, like Frazier Douglas said. I got my musket pack on my side. I got bullets. I'm feeling real good about myself.
So, what is going through your head during these moments? You are checking boxes, you're ticking off,
Yes,
going through each and
yes,
every one of these steps,
yes.
but you can't have a victory dance. You can't celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? So, what are you thinking as you're checking and going through these different phases?
Oh, oh, I did have a victory dance in my
Okay.
head. See, remember,
Okay.
I did think about slaves. Remember, I'm an ex-slave. I know how to get past a white man. I had a victory dance in my head.
Mm.
I held my head down, but my head is down and I'm grinning. I got a big old grin on my face because I done flew two white men.
Mm.
Three white men. I'm in basic training. See, God punish you. I'm in basic training. I'm showing up. I'm trying to outdo my cousins and my friends. I wake up in the hospital and he say, Lewis, oh, oh, bro. I checked myself, but I ain't had no accident. Why am I here? So just a blanket. So the other comes by, black orderly for the black people, white orderly for the. He said, wake up, put this on you. I got smallpox. 20% of the soldiers got smallpox.
And you got it.
I got it. So now the Army fell 2 times before I leave Missouri to find out that I'm a girl. 2 times. Had recruiting, and I stayed in the hospital 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And guess what they got at the hospital that I need? Remember, I'm a 16-year-old girl. What do they have at the hospital that I need?
Pads.
Cotton. Because
Yes.
remember ladies made their own sanitary napkins and they used cotton. They took a rag and they put the cotton in there. And then they washed the rag. They had several rags and they filled it with cotton. And they would dispose of the cotton, wash the rag, and dry it out.
So then
So
what did you do in that situation?
I just told you. Okay.
You would take the cut. Oh, you
when you
made your own.
yeah, I made my own. And remember, when you're on your period, who knows you're on the period? Nobody, unless you're having a very, very bad period, or nobody knows when you're on your period. Nobody knows, you know. So, plus, even in the 1800s, they had catheters. So you know what a Texas catheter is. It don't go in your urethra. You know where your urine come out.
Uh-huh.
You just put it in your pants, and it collects the urine, and you have a little bag on your leg.
Mm,
They had that's what I had. I got that from when I was in the hospital.
wow. Man, I know my nerves would be on
Yeah,
edge.
when a slave when a slave female was on her monthly, all she said was to the overseer or the house person, she got a pain in her side. The white people were horrified of her blood. Okay, if a girl or a lady was on her period, they didn't want you around. That's the only time you didn't have to work, when you were on your period or when you just had a baby. Okay, so while I'm in the hospital, they have cotton and they have these Texas catheters. So I get them. This is going to help me keep my disguise because they're very difficult for me to use the bathroom. I have to take, because my pants, I wear suspenders. I have to take the coat off. I take the suspenders down to use the bathroom. So
Mm.
I control what I drink and eat all day long, so I don't have to go to the bathroom that much, because that little bag only holds so much urine.
Mm.
And then when I'm on my monthly, I just go and tell the Sarge that, Sarge, I'm sick. I need to report for sick duty. And it's always pain in the side.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because this pain in the
Yeah,
side is
pain in the side. That's a code. And see, that's what slave ladies said. That's what we said to the overseer or the house man, where I got a pain in that side. Because, they didn't want us, we didn't know the term. We on our month. We didn't know that you supposed to say you on your period. We didn't know that word. All we know is that we were bleeding, and then we couldn't say we were bleeding to them. We had to say pain in the side.
inside.
Those are
Yeah.
things that they taught us to say.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I want to go back to your uniform. So we
Yeah.
talked about your suspenders and even just the attire, how you could disguise. It wasn't fashion forward,
Mm-mm.
but I see that you have a scarf around your neck now. So
Well,
is that
this is called a wild rag.
okay?
90% of the soldiers, white and black, were. This is wool, wool, wool. This is left over from the Civil War. This is the same uniform that they had in the Civil War. Okay, the Army did not change this uniform till 1890. They were
Mm,
wool, wool, wool. So They would let us wear the wild rags around your neck to protect. You see this wool? I have an allergy to wool. If I don't protect myself, I'll get sick. And then wild rags became part of the uniform. Now, in the military, they didn't wear yellow scarves until they made them stupid movies with John Wayne. She wore a yellow ribbon. No soldier wore yellow ribbon in 1800s. They were all calico print, different calico prints. Or if a woman in town made, because the quartermaster would get stuff from the settlers' wives. The settlers' wives would make shirts. They would make wild rags. They made them out of feed stack, chicken sacks, horse feed, sugar, flour. All those things were made used to make wild rags, and they were big. They were bigger than this. They were like 21 by 21. They were real big.
Hmm. Interesting. So what?
And this also can be a washcloth. It can be a band-aid.
So it's a multi-purpose
It's a
scarf.
multi-purpose. Yes,
Got it.
every part of your uniform. See, the first thing I had on was a kepi. Now, when you wear a hat, you know what you call a cowboy hat.
Hmm.
You can dip that in the creek and get water for yourself and your horse.
Mm.
Everything that we had on was a tool. Is a
Yeah.
purpose. We right now we wear clothes for fashion statement. Back then, all the people, all the settlers, their clothes was for purpose,
Hmm.
and we recycle everything.
Having multi-purpose and multi-units and things it reminds me of natives. Like that's also
Yes,
something very native, like native.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So some would say that the Buffalo Soldiers got their names from native warriors, right? And who saw your strength. Did you feel like this was a sense of honor from that name or guilt from guarding settlers who were taking native land?
Well, first of all, Native Americans further away from the Mississippi as they were, further from the Mississippi, they hadn't seen black men. Number one.
Mhm.
So in 1866, when the soldiers came back west after the Civil War, you got 6 units approaching on the plains. This in the dead of winter. In Texas, in Palador Canyon, Corner Parker's medicine man was praying for the return of the buffalo. The Ninth Cavalry came over the hill. They had on buffalo robe coats and muskrat hats. Native Americans believed that people come back as animals. And the words, and he saw them. He thought they were wild buffalo. We have this fight in Texas and Kansas because the ninth came to Texas and the 10th went to Kansas. Remember, they paid this white man Remington. He took all these pictures. There are real pictures of these units. They go all over. They go all over the world. I have spoken in galleries, in museums about these pictures. He took these pictures and he documented. He said that he said that the Native Americans started calling us buffaloes, wild buffaloes. They
Mm-hmm.
did. They started calling us wild buffaloes. We took the name, and it was because you see my hair. If it was
Mm-hmm.
flat, you see if you see a buffalo's head between his horns, right here, it looks like he has an afro.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And we have these dark brown eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Most black men got big noses that flare out like a buffalo when he's mad. My daddy would get mad, his nose would flare out, and I swear smoke came out. So,
Like a
so the
buffalo.
like a buffalo. So the Native Americans called us wild buffaloes. The the white soldiers and the buffalo hunters start calling us buffalo soldiers because if the white soldiers if they command to herd them call us the nigger, they would charge them $10. It wasn't because they liked us. It was because they want to take money from those soldiers.
Wow.
Okay, so they start calling us buffalo soldiers, right? So this is my granddaddy and his two brothers, my great granddaddy and his two brothers. They were in the night carry. They said that they rather be called Buffalo Soldiers than the N word. So
Hmm.
the soldiers themselves and the buffalo hunters and the white soldiers start calling them Buffalo Soldiers. The Native Americans called us
Wild buffalo.
Wild Buffalo, and it was because of fighting spirit. Because it was one guy in Kansas. They speared him. They shot him with several arrows, and they manslaughtered him, but he still kept getting up. And he killed, and he killed about 6 of them by
Mm,
himself.
yeah, that would be a wild buffalo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
As you're on this journey, like this is your life, this is happening. Do you feel like this is like you tricking the army? You're tricking people? Or do you feel like you're claiming what is rightfully yours and your space and your opportunity?
Yes, I had made up my mind. Like I said, I knew because growing up, I was always a tomboy. I knew I could do exactly what my cousin could do, and some of them I could do better. And I was bigger than some of them because I'm 5'9", and the average men back in the 1800s like 5'5", 5'2". And Geronimo was only 4 foot tall. Look at how much trouble he caused.
Hmm,
He was only
hmm,
4 foot tall. Okay,
hmm.
they didn't look like John Wayne and Sherman Hensley and all these big old white men. They didn't look like that. White men too. They were all short. Think about it. I'm 5'9". I'm taller than the average white man, black man, all that. Okay, and I'm feeling myself because I'm bad.
You said I'm feeling myself. I mean,
I'm
oh,
feeling myself because I'm
what?
bad. I know I'm bad.
I know I'm bad.
I know I'm bad.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it to me, it's like you said, it's size. You're stronger, your stature, your height, you're able to do the job.
Yes,
It just seems like it makes sense.
and plus my spirit. I have this strong spirit that I can do anything that anybody else can do, and I can do it better than most.
So if you could whisper
Hmm.
in that recruiter's ear or anybody else that's going through and checking your stuff and ticking you off and writing your new name, what would you say?
Well, first of all, like I said, when I fooled the recruiter the first day, I prayed because I attribute that to God to help me achieve this goal. Every time I fool somebody, that made me feel better and more proud of myself. I didn't feel like that I was getting something that I didn't deserve because I had to perform. I had to march. I had to drill. I had to guard. I had to shoot. I had to do everything. So what did they give me? Nothing. I took an opportunity. I took an opportunity that most girls didn't take, but I took it, and I feel good about myself.
I love that.